Hey folks, Elaine Marolakos Edelson here with Astrology Mojo. And I want you to get your mojo back. So, if you're new to me, here's what I say that the planets in astrology don't do anything to us. The sun and moon, however, are not planets, and neither are the north node or the south node. That said, we live in a cooperation, and the whole point of this whole thing on earth is for you to create a reality. That's it. You're creating a reality. And what does that look like? What do you want it to look like? And astrology is just one lens that you can look through to see what that looks like. So today we're going to be talking about this particular aspect that's happening now. I have to move some things around. I had to restart my computer right before. So I might be a little late to the party. Okay, so come say hello to me. We're going to be talking about well, let me see if I can make this bigger for you so you can see it. Not that big, but anyway, we've got Mars opposing Pluto. That's going to be through the next few weeks. Jupiter is opposing the moon. That's only for the next couple of days, not even a full 3 days. But the sun is squaring Mars and the sun is squaring Pluto. When I look at this in astrology, what I see is a lot of tension because we are looking at the signs of Gemini, thought, procedures, information, data, the moon, and Jupiter expansion in whatever way, shape, or form, not necessarily positive or negative. And then the moon, feeling state, the what's under the surface, the emotion, the intuition, and Sagittarius, truth seeking, but also very judgmental at times or opinionated, and dealing with different culture and different ideologies. And then there's Pluto, that is, TNT for the psyche is what I call it. And not just TNT for the psyche, but also the core of your subconscious, non-conscious, subconscious self. It's where your desires are, your power is. And and in the sign of Aquarius, which is free thinking, radical thinking, freedom, humanitarianism, opposing Mars at the end. Oops, let me move this here. Mars at the end degree of Cancer. It's been months. It's moving into Leo, and where it will be a full-on opposition for the next month. So Mars equals momentum. Momentum opposing unconscious. Think of protests, riots, war. Think of saying no, learning to set boundaries. Uh, and it's also a way to form new ideologies for the sake of the collective, humanitarianism. So, what's the momentum? Are you holding it in and then it explodes later? Are you trying to convince someone else? Are you trying to convince through intellect someone who is strongly connected to a feeling? No, they say, that's not how I feel. And you say, but here, look at the facts. And then the argument ensues. And arguing doesn't mean fighting, arguing is posing information. That's an argument. In philosophy, that's an argument. Attorneys will argue a position. It doesn't mean you're yelling or screaming or waging war. But when human emotions get involved, that's what it can turn into. Or people digging their heels in and saying, no, I know I told you to do this and it didn't get done. And now we have to start over. And that other person's saying, but I would have remembered if you told me. And so who's right? Who's wrong? Nobody. This is about reciprocity. And reciprocity is I give in order to get back, not from a selfish point of view. It's I give an energy, I emit a frequency. So, what is it going to bring me? And if you're polarized, that's what oppositions represent. these two oppositions, polarized in it being your way, you're going to create confirmation bias. So if you say, no, it's green, it's green, it's green. I know it's green. In my heart of hearts, it's green. And you're trying to convince someone else that it's green and they don't see green. They see something else. But then you start to attract things that are green and you go, see, told you it was green, but it's green to you. Doesn't mean it's green to anybody else. So how do we navigate this? How do we negotiate this particular thing? Well, the sun represents the focus. It is the proactive masculine energy that we all embody, and it sheds light. In the sign of Aries, it's come on, this is what it is. This is how it is. It doesn't mean it has to stay that way. It doesn't mean it's anything other than what is this moment right now? Let's put light, let's shed light on the moment right now. And the moment looks like a square to Pluto, which is 90 degrees. And a square is like, what is that I'm sitting on? It's so uncomfortable. And it gets your attention, doesn't it? So the sun in Aries squaring Pluto. That's a okay, that's a moment where we come to terms with, oh my gosh, I think the world's gone mad. And I think I'm part of it. That's the realization. What's the uncomfortable issue that you keep revisiting and you don't deal with it? You say, oh, yeah, I want to drop 10 pounds and I've tried every diet in the world and it doesn't work. Okay, well, have you tried loving your body? Number one. Have you tried giving it what it needs as far as nourishment? Number two. Do you exercise? And do you find that forging ahead with every new fad diet or every new workout program doesn't yield the results? Then what's the stressor in the body? What is the body telling you? You might have an adrenal issue. You will never drop pounds if you have an adrenal issue, which means high cortisol. You might have a thyroid issue, which in fact is not a thyroid issue. It's a liver issue or a gallbladder issue. So when you start to tune into what your body needs, then you start to really feel like, oh, I think I understand something. That every time that happens, I shove food in my face, emotional eating. Or every time that doesn't happen, I starve myself, denial. So it's not always about dieting and food, but it is about a process and I would say an unconscious go-to. What's your go-to unconsciously? Well, you know what it is if you think about it. And then we've got the sun in Aries squaring Mars in Cancer. That's the process. That's the deep down core defense system because Mars guides Aries. The sun is opposite the moon. You are thinking something, acting on something, and feeling something, and they are three different somethings. Three different somethings. So you want to be proactive. You wake up, you're excited, you take a shower, you walk 6 miles, you organize your desk, you get going on emails and phone calls and paying bills. And wow, isn't that great? And then suddenly you're exhausted or you feel angry and you don't know why. Or you feel pent up because you weren't paying attention to your feelings. So these kinds of things are what we're going to be experiencing more and more in the next 30 days. And I say this lightly. If you are watching this in a restream, I mean, I'm streaming this with restream, but if you see this not live and you see it on YouTube or you're scrolling through my Facebook feed and you see that and it's been 2 weeks already, ask yourself, is it still relevant? Regardless of whether the sun is actually squaring, I'm pointing to the wrong thing, whether the sun is actually squaring Pluto or Mars or that Jupiter is opposing the moon, because it won't be. Jupiter won't be opposing the moon in 2 weeks. So, when you see something, whatever gets your attention, ask yourself if it helps you to unpack an old pattern, fantastic if it does. If it's a distraction and you're doing 17 things to stop yourself from feeling the true feelings, because every feeling you have, you are emitting a frequency and a vibration. And that frequency and that vibration create physical matter. It brings things to us. That's how we manifest. That's how it works. So if you're not paying attention to all the streams of energy that's leaving your body, I didn't mean to hit that. Then you need to, because if you don't like what's happening, or if you're confused, there's so much information, I don't know which way to go. I wanted to start a business on YouTube, and I don't know who to watch and which podcast to listen to. It and stop. We don't push further into confusion or frustration because we only get pushed back. So think about that. Jupiter in Gemini is thinking about how to expand. Opposing the moon is, why is this? I'll have to move over here. Nope, that's not working. That's not too big. Okay, that's better. So with Jupiter in Gemini opposing the moon in Sagittarius, and the opposition is between the constellations, um, and they equal the same thing in the end. It's just a different approach. So asking yourself this week, I'm tired, but I want to keep going. I don't want to miss anything. I feel really positive and optimistic. And then the thoughts come in and go, yeah, well, you tried that before and it didn't work. Or someone comes to you and says, yeah, I'm sorry, that's not a thing. And then you're thwarted and you say, well, now where do I go? I was feeling so good about it, but my thoughts or someone was telling me there's different information. What supersedes the thought is going to be the emotional vibration, the feeling. If you are feeling like I can learn how to play piano in 3 weeks or less and give it a performance, and other people are like, it takes years. Okay, that's their opinion. Say thank you. Go back to that feeling of I can do this. I got this. Because then you take that opposition and you turn it into a centralized moment of harmony. It takes a lot to not listen to everybody else sometimes. It takes a lot to trust your feelings sometimes. So it doesn't have to be a lot. What if nothing were ever wrong? What if nothing were ever wrong? The sun is showing you where you stop yourself. That's what this is an indication of. You are thwarting yourself by repeating old patterns. And whether that's you jump right into something without researching it and then regret it later, or whether you spend hours and hours and days researching something only to miss the mark because you spent so much time. Procrastinating is one word for it. Another one is taking your time, and that's fine. Go with the feeling. If you feel like, I know I procrastinate, then add 1 hour to forward movement. Time only goes in one direction. So looking back in the morning, that's what most people do. They start off the day with, unless you're analyzing your dream, they start off the day with, yeah, I don't know. That thing that happened last week, gosh, I thought I was over that, or that thing that's happening tomorrow and I'm not even prepared. And so we start to spiral in these places that have nothing to do with now. You're thinking it now, but it already happened or it hasn't happened yet. So to put yourself in the right vibration, focus on one thing that gives you absolute pleasure. It could be the sound of the birds that are chirping at dawn. It could be what are my favorite colors? I'm going to go draw a picture with colored pencils. It's music, it's meditation, it's walking, it's moving your body. It's getting in attunement. The science has shown that the heart sends out a more consistent frequency than the brain. But if you can get the brain and the heart to work together, you have coherence, and that coherence is viable. That's when the head and the heart come together and you emit a consistent frequency that says, I love that I am love. I'm so happy that I'm here. I'm so creative. I feel so blessed. I feel so grateful, because gratitude is an energy that supersedes all others, bottom line, and that can help you manifest something much quicker, even if it's just realizing a pattern. And then suddenly you wake up and you're taking a shower, or you're having breakfast, or you're getting dressed for work, or you're getting the kids off to school, and your mind wanders and you go, you know, I have 6 friends in my life, and I have to say they're all really supportive, but wait a minute, only when I pursue them. They don't just come to me. Or I have one great friend, and well, wait a second, every time I ask for help, they're not always there for me. So or I see the pattern that every time I do this thing, that thing happens. Whatever it is, whether or not it regards close family ties, friends, work related, or money, or health. Every time I do this thing, that happens. It doesn't mean that it's meant to happen or supposed to happen. It means you're patterned to have it happen. And if you don't want to have it happen anymore, you have to do something different. So that's what the squares are about. It feels uncomfortable. Something's not right. Sun square Mars in Cancer. It's an annoyance. It's something stuck in your throat and you want to get it out and you don't know how. You don't know what to say. It's the opposite of harmony. When the sun in Aries squaring Mars in Cancer is that sensation that you need to defend yourself against something or someone, or your own patterns. And so what kind of energy are you outputting then? Not something that's going to bring your joy to you, obviously. And you're lacking synchronicity in that moment. So the rhythm that you need to really embody with the sun squaring Mars, it's like saying, oh, I got to do this thing next week, and I promised them, and I really don't want to. And you make up all these reasons of, oh, maybe I'll tell them I'm sick or I'm not feeling well. And the more you think that, the faster you might actually get sick. You're going to create your own reality with your thoughts and your words, especially your feelings and your vibrations. So what's the rhythm that you want? How about once, a long time ago, I had promised someone that I would be in their wedding, and then they moved away. I didn't care for their choices. It wasn't it wasn't a reciprocal relationship. And then they asked me, okay, so, in 3 months' time, this thing's going to happen. I said, listen, I just need to be honest with you. I don't feel that it's appropriate that I do this. I'm not in favor of what you're doing, who you're marrying, and why. And that's your business. That's your choice. I just don't care to support it. So I'm going to say no to being in your wedding and traveling to a different state to do it. And it was hard to say, but they understood in time, and they eventually got divorced. And so I just had to go with the feeling that this doesn't feel right. This is false. This isn't me. We're not great friends. Why? No, you don't love them. What is happening? So I just declined, and I was gracious about it and wished them well. And that was not easy for me to do. This is a long time ago. Over 30 years, maybe 40 years. There's something like that. And it wasn't easy, but I did it. And I was so relieved. And it freed me up in every other area of my life. So what I want you to do is focus on what you can do to relieve the emotional tension. Stop engaging in an opposition with someone else about, you said this, or I said that, or you said, I felt this and you didn't. just relax. Just take a nice deep breath and ask yourself, how can I be someone's opportunity instead of their challenge? How can I positively promote something or set a boundary without negating the other person? How can I do that? And then you're going to see that this opposition, these squares, is going to help you come to terms with being more you, more authentic, more truthful, more honest, and you're going to relieve the tension. These angles represent tension. So, wherever that tension is in the next 30 days, take a nice deep breath and ask yourself, what frequency am I outputting that is bringing to me this tension? Because you're the matter. What's the matter? You. And your matter is divine. Think about that. And I'm going to pull a card now. No, that's not it. Okay. I'm going to pull a card. This is from the Universal Law of Conscious Creation. How to best navigate these squares and oppositions. Where's the tension coming from? It's coming from you. And if you are at peace, you won't be feeling the tension and you won't be bothered by other people's tension. And you'll still be able to support, contribute to yourself and others without much effort. Heart and brain need to come together. And, oh, this is interesting. So look for symbolism as well in your world. What's the symbolism between you doing something and seeing the outcome? Like if you're thinking of, oh, my dad used to love to collect peacock feathers and, and I miss him and I wish I could talk to him. And suddenly, you're flipping through something online or a magazine and you see a peacock and you're like, what just happened? Hi, Dad. So what's symbolic in your life? What represents your top 3 go-tos as far as support? Nature, people, team and spirit, your intuition. Some people love frogs, So give this symbolic gesture to yourself and make a suggestion. And the suggestion is that my needs are met, my needs are met, my needs are met. That I love that I am love. That I am so grateful for who I am in this world. That I appreciate. And then list the things that you appreciate. And then come back next week and we'll talk more about it. All right, folks, that's me today. Go be you. Go have fun. As always, I wish you peace. See you next time.